Of 5,000 plus police stops, 600 were white, 4,600 were black. Some believe those numbers are part of why we've seen this explosive situation, not from these outsiders that you and Captain Johnson have noted, but from the very people you share a street with. Have your eyes been now open to the hardships and perhaps some of the isolation folks in your city have felt?
I don't believe that's the case still. I mean,
what's not the
statistics, there's not a racial divide in the city of Ferguson. There's not a racial divide in the city of Ferguson. There's not a racial divide in the city of Ferguson.
African Americans make up 67% of Ferguson's population, but were 93% of all arrests and were the targets of 85% of traffic stops.
So of the 22,000 people who live in that area, 67% are African American, and you believe that of that, most of those African Americans are happy with what's happening there. Because again, sir, with all due respect, I would have to say you should probably watch some of the coverage, because it is not just people from the outside. And I'm only reporting what people in your city, whether it's one street or whether it's two, there are people
Chairman, I will
who
tell
feel
you this.
that way.
I've walked these lines with Captain Johnson and others. I've spoken to people, and the vast majority of my community, and I'll put that number in the 95th percentile, is absolutely supportive of what we've been doing.
Of course, a more common mistake is to suggest that Ferguson is an isolated incident.
Absolutely. There's 22,000 residents in our community. This has affected about a half-mile strip of street in our community.
We don't need a Ferguson report to know that's not true.
We've been getting harassed so much that we're tired of it.
We just need to open our eyes and our ears and our hearts to know that this nation's racial history still casts its long shadow upon us.
What are the charges that are outlined in that report?
Rhetoric over and over again. Well, I mean, this is what's frustrating to me. I mean, Eric Holder makes these public statements.
The Attorney General's blunt response came on the heels of a blistering Justice Department report which found a pattern of racial bias in Ferguson policing.
It's not difficult to imagine how a single tragic incident set off the city of Ferguson like a powder keg.
Darren Wilson's now out. He resigned. He's not going to get any severance package. Is that fair?
I think it's unfortunate that his career is over. It's absolutely a situation where he did his job.
In a sense, members of the community may not have been responding only to a single isolated confrontation, but also to a pervasive, corrosive, and deeply unfortunate lack of trust.
The report also detailing racist emails sent by city employees, one describing the President of the United States as a chimpanzee. By Friday, 3 city officials involved were gone, a city court clerk fired, and 2 police officers resigned.
Mr. Mayor, thank you for being here with us tonight. And so your thoughts on Eric Holder suggesting, if not explicitly, at least suggesting that what this issue in Ferguson boils down to is racial profiling by police.
Well, unfortunately, I think he's put the cart before the horse a few times already, and I don't think that the facts have bore out so far that that's necessarily an issue of racial profiling.
This investigation found a community that was deeply polarized, a community where deep distrust and hostility often characterized interactions between police and area residents, a community where local authorities consistently approached law enforcement not as a means for protecting public safety, but as a way to generate revenue, including First Amendment abuses, unreasonable searches and seizures, and excessive and dangerous use of force, exacerbated by severely disproportionate use of these tactics against African Americans.
They should show Knowles the door, get him out, usher in the local government that they want.